Bienvenue tout le monde. Merci d'être là. Thank you for being here. It's a great day for us, this team, in the single seat steering board and campaign. We've been working together over the past, some of us 8 years, others 3 years, cross political group, cross nationality, for a pro-Europe, pro-democracy, pro-dialogue, more efficient European Parliament. What we are doing is for, is not against. We want a more efficient European Union that is closer to citizens. That's why we are extremely happy that today we can have in plenary a public debate to reconnect with citizens and show them that we care and we listen to their concerns for a European Union that doesn't waste, that doesn't pollute, and that as co-legislators, with the huge responsibility that we have to deliver results for citizens, we do it in a way where our time is not spent in logistics, but is spent in working for them. We have a very clear agenda. It is to open a dialogue, constructive, positive, result-oriented, with all those concerns. And for the first, of course, our dear French colleague, our dear authorities here in Strasbourg, in Alsace, in France, in Paris, in the Élysée. Nous voulons aujourd'hui.
Today, we want to open our arms for a positive, constructive dialogue with the new leadership in France, who we admire, and we hope to be able to work with them to renew Europe, to ensure that the new Europe can reconnect with its citizens and show citizens that we are taking care of them.
Is for the Parliament to use its powers under Article 48 of the Lisbon Treaty to ask the Member States to initiate a roadmap for treaty change. The treaty change is for the Parliament to, as any other parliament in the world, decide when and where to meet. We want to decide ourselves when and where to meet. This is based on years of resolutions and reports where the Parliament at large majority, cross-political group, cross-nationality, has been asking for a single seat, and even the Court of Justice ruling on the single seat has been encouraging the Parliament to use our powers under the treaty. So we want to have a resolution in plenary in September where we would lay down the request for a legislative report. We would ask the President of the European Parliament to address in the European Council in his introductory remarks the need for a single seat. We would ask the Presidency of the European Union, the Estonian Presidency, to have it on the agenda of its presidency and to have it on the agenda of the Council. We would like to relaunch the Eurobarometer, which means asking the citizens what they think about the single seat. And we are already working in the single seat steering group. We have a working group with all our assistants where we are drafting and putting together and mapping down a roadmap for a single seat, and we would like the Bureau, based on the resolution of 27 of May on the discharge of the budget, where we asked the Bureau to draw up a roadmap for treaty change to finalise this work. There is a huge, fantastic opportunity with the relocation of the agencies of the European Union, of the European Union, the EMA and the EBA, that has to be completed by the autumn, according to the decision of the Council of June. And this is one of the opportunities. We all understand, and we are telling our French friends, that this is not any trading. This is an opportunity we want to put on the table. It is, of course, economically extremely beneficial. There are good papers that have been circulated for some of our colleagues, like Peter Liese and Stars Bart and so on, describing it in detail. But we also understand, and I will finish with that because it's really important, that Strasbourg est le symbole de la réconciliation.
Strasbourg is the symbol of reconciliation between France and Germany. It's a European capital, and it should continue to be a European capital, and a symbol of democracy and justice. Whatever the solution is, we have to continue to recognise and appreciate the symbolism of Strasbourg. We think that we can work differently. We could hold European summits here. Perhaps the general headquarters of some kind of European defence organisation. There are a lot of options on the table. We're working on those, and we want to continue to work together. Thank you, and I'll give the floor to my colleague, Pina Picerno, who represents the Socialists. Then I'll give the floor to Ashley Fox on behalf of the ECR, and finally Beatriz Becerra, who represents the ALDE group, and finally Ulrike Lunacek from the Greens. Thank you.
Sì, ma molto brevemente.
Very briefly, I'd like to start by thanking you all for being here. And also I'd like to thank my colleague Mrs. Corazza-Bildt for the incredible work that she's doing for this cause. The cause for which we formed the intergroup. We've been working on this for a long time now. We continue to think it's a very important issue. It will make significant savings for European citizens. They pay their taxes and they finance the European institutions. We've been through difficult times. The European citizens have been through a historic crisis. It seems absurd and pointless to continue this expenditure. And for the first time we have a genuine practical possibility of putting an end to what we think is a mistake in financial historic terms. So we have a real chance of reaching this goal. And I just want to emphasise the importance of finally having a debate on this in the European Parliament. So we're happy and proud that we're finally seeing fruits of the work that we've been doing for a long time now and we'll continue with. Of course, I'm concluding. I know I only have a minute, but it's important that we can draw this issue to the attention of European citizens, and it's through the role that you will play. The media are going to be fundamental in this. They're fundamental in reaching the citizens, so we can continue real awareness raising amongst European citizens. Thank you, Pierre, and now Ashley Fox.
Thank you very much. I want to start by saying that Strasbourg is an historic city. It is beautiful, it is clean, it is safe. I enjoy coming here. And in 1957, it was a symbol of reconciliation between France and Germany. But 70 years later, I'm afraid it is now a symbol of all that is wrong with the European Union. The fact that we have a parliament in Brussels and a parliament in Strasbourg, and members, officials and staff commute endlessly between those two buildings. We waste €114 million of taxpayers' money every year. That's €3,600 a minute, every minute. Which means that from the start of this press conference to the time we start our debate this evening, we will have wasted €2 million of taxpayers' money. We also emit 19,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide needlessly every year. And this makes us look hypocritical, because whilst the European Union tells our citizens to reduce their carbon footprint, we merrily increase ours wholly unnecessarily. And we also waste time. We waste the time of members, of officials and staff on this endless merry-go-round. So I fully support the call for a treaty change to allow this Parliament to decide where it sits and to have one seat, so that we save money, we save carbon dioxide and we save time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ashley, and I now give the floor to Beatriz Becerra for ALDE.
Muchas gracias, Ana María. Gracias a todos.
Thank you very much indeed, Ana Maria, and thank you to everyone for being here today. I'd like to address you in Spanish today. We have quite a diverse group here today, and we've been very effective in communicating. We have a team with a shared objective, and we're working together towards that, and that gives us great strength. Now I'd like to begin by saying that Ana Maria has already outlined the key points. We find ourselves at a crucial point, a turning point, and obviously I can agree with all that, but I'd like to flesh it out with a bit more context for you. Populists all across Europe have been convincing people that European institutions are wasting public money. But that's not something that's true, and it's not all true. And these little truths are being distorted and blown out of proportion in order to distort a message. And all of this is means to undermining the work that's being done here in the interest of citizens. So we have to really counter those lies and come forward with the truth. Now there is this unjustifiable cost of travelling, and this waste of public funds today is quite unacceptable in a Europe that's emerging from a crisis, and we need to be moving towards a more efficient and reform-minded institution. So we have called repeatedly for a single seat, and we want a more agile, more responsive institution would have found a solution a long time ago, but we are moving towards a new era, a new phase, and there's let's not forget that where there's an economic cost, there's also political cost that is unbearable, and we have to recognise this. There are no more excuses. We want a single seat. We have been kicking this into the long grass for far too long, and Strasbourg is a wonderful city. It's a beautiful city, a symbol of peace, reconciliation, justice, consensus. There are many, many institutions based here, and for quite a long time the Parliament was functioning in an inefficient way that was not justifiable. So we have to retain this symbol of peace and reconciliation, and do away with that symbol of wastefulness, and that's what we're working towards. Thank you.
Beatrice, and now I give the floor to Ulrike Lunacek for the Greens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna Maria. Also from my side, great welcome and thanks for coming to this press conference. You know, as an Austrian citizen, I have been a member of the Austrian Parliament for about 10 years and now European Parliament for 8 years. And what I appreciate so much about this European Parliament is this cross-party spirit. And I think this is also very symbolic of what the European Union stands for, also what Strasbourg stands for. The end of hate and war between Germany and France, but for all of us in Europe. And what I have learned in this Parliament is what we now want with the government of France, a dialogue. Because in this Parliament, I have learned, and we do that every day, we negotiate across party lines. We find solutions, at least the majority of us. There are some who are not on our side, you have mentioned them. But for us, this dialogue is essential. What we have is, as has been said, we have 2 seats. Well, there's a third one in Luxembourg, but we have to travel between Brussels and Strasbourg. And what we want is, as parliamentarians, to decide ourselves. Because, as you know, it's the Council, it's 28 leaders of governments, heads of state and governments, who decide on the seats. Because it was primary law. It's not us. And this Parliament has time and again already said we want to decide ourselves, and a big majority, 2/3, sometimes even more, wants 1 seat. This is about energy, this is about time, this is about efficiency. It has been mentioned that it's 114 million euro at least every year. It's 19 million tons of CO2 emissions. I say as a green, but others have mentioned it. 19,000, yeah, sorry. And what we are doing this press conference for, and why I'm so glad we have also demanded the debate this afternoon across party lines. Yeah? we want a dialogue with France. We want to go and meet the new government, the new president. We want to talk about it and find a solution that helps everybody. And that's why we're here for. I think the issues have been mentioned. You also have, I think, the papers have been distributed. It's about us asking member states to have a roadmap for treaty change, to have this one seat, and many other issues that have all these actions that have already been mentioned. We want a dialogue with France. This is the essence of what we are here today to talk with you and then also in the plenary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ulrich. And now I open the floor for questions. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Elodie Lamer, I'm writing for Agence Europe and the Belgian newspaper Le Soir. I'm wondering if the state of the building in Brussels can play a role in this debate, since it's going to cost a lot of money too. So, yeah, is it going to play a role in the debate? Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure Richard, who is also Vice President of the European Parliament, will be able to say more than I can, but we had meetings with the relevant people, myself, to find out what's going on. And what I can tell you is that nothing has been decided, but for the time being, there will have to be either renovation or reconstruction. Both would be opportunities rather than obstacles for the seat to the European Parliament to be only in Brussels. During the works, there are already facilities in the neighbourhood in Brussels that are ready to host the European Parliament, so there will be absolutely no need to move to Strasbourg. Should Strasbourg be the only seat, the current facilities are absolutely not up to it, and it would require enormous rebuilding and enormous enlarging. So there is no way that the issue of the rebuilding can be used as an argument against a single seat. I would rather argue very much on the contrary, because there are very, very clear plans how to rebuild or renovate the Brussels seats in a way that, it would be fit for purpose. Thank you. I don't know if Richard wants to add anything on that.
To add, that's exactly what it is. It is an opportunity, and everything has already been prepared, but we need to see what the studies really will bring. There's no decision yet.
Please.
Hello, Oliver Grimm with the Austrian newspaper Die Presse. 5 years ago, Mr. Macmillan Scott sat in your seat, and I think he used pretty much the same arguments and words. So what has changed, apart from him not being here anymore, and apart from having a new French president? And secondly, did I understand you correctly that if, hypothetically, the Parliament were to permanently move to Strasbourg, the facilities here wouldn't be large enough or sufficient enough for the Parliament to reside here permanently? Thank you.
For the first, our dear friend Edward Macmillan is our honorary chair. We have invited him to be with us, and he's following our work and continues to support us. What has changed is that now you have all the political groups that you see here, that with a democratic majority, not everyone, every member of course, that would be impossible, has decided to move forward. This is why we have this debate today. This is why we have on the table the possibility of going forward with a resolution in September. And I think there is as you see here, we are all speaking the same language and we are all having the same message. There has been a team and a consensus that have been built in this mandate over the years as well. And yes, there is new opportunities, we think, with the combination of a new leadership in Paris, which is a pro-European, which is true leadership, and which has a vision of relaunching and reforming the European Union in a way that is close to citizens. There we see a clear common ground with what we try to do. There is also an opportunity with the unfortunate, I would like to underline, unfortunate of Brexit, where there is a need to relocate in the near future 2 major agencies that are extremely important, extremely economically at least valuable, that would definitely provide many more jobs and many more economic advantage to the people of Strasbourg and Alsace. Don't forget that we are here 48 days a year, and this building is totally underused. The hotels, everything is used by us only 48 days a week. We would like for Strasbourg to have a win-win. I underline the word win-win situation, where there is definitely the possibility to use this building 365 days a week, the hotels, the restaurants and everything that provides the income, jobs, growth and prosperity to Strasbourg and Alsace. So there is a combination of factors. It's not the only one. We will move forward anyway with all the other options. But we have been building over the years support, consensus, bridges, and we are ready to go to Elysée. This is what we have already told the French authorities, the new leadership, that we intend to send a European Parliament delegation to the Elysée in the near future, and we hope to be received in a positive spirit and in dialogue.
Could I just add to that? I think there's a very strong pro-European case for having a single seat. I've represented the southwest of England and Gibraltar in the European Parliament for the last 8 years. At almost every constituency meeting I undertake, I get questions about why Parliament has 2 seats. It is a constant source of ridicule. It makes the European Parliament look absurd, and it fuels all those stories about how Europe wastes money. Now, undoubtedly it does waste some money, but this Parliament, and one in Brussels, is a constant reminder to European citizens of how badly we run ourselves. So if I had a meeting with President Macron, it would be to say there is a very positive pro-European case for having a single seat, because it takes away that source of ridicule that so undermines the European Parliament.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to answer to the second question of you with the issue of facilities here. It's true. Half of, at least of my staff, always stays in Brussels. So when we come here, and I think this applies to every one of us, because there's simply not enough space. And this also, it's just working like that. I wish each and every one of you would follow us like the weeks here. It's always you have to call your colleagues, your assistants on the phone to Brussels and look what they are saying instead of talking to them directly. Of course you can do that with modern equipment, but it doesn't really help. So yes, that is true. And also, talking as a green as well, traffic-wise, this would also be very problematic, I think, for Strasbourg. We don't have any direct flights from hardly any. There's a few, but hardly any from further east, for example. So and that especially after the not as recent anymore enlargement, there is lots more people here. So yes, that is true as well. And I really would say this is we see it as a win-win situation. And the fact that, as Anna Maria has said, we're only here for 48 days a year. It would be a win situation for Strasbourg and for France, having something here where the services could be used every day, hotels could be used every day, and all the restaurants and everything, and not like we are here. I can tell you this week I've been to one restaurant in Brussels. Yeah, last night I was here until midnight, so I didn't see much of Strasbourg, and that happens to many of us. So, other people could make use, being permanent residents here, that would also be economically wise.
Please, go ahead.
Camille Cyril-Gessin, Agence Europe, en français, s'il vous plaît. J'ai juste une petite question.
Yes, just a question. Now, you're suggesting that the Medicines Agency be moved to Strasbourg. Now, how are you going to convince the other 26 member states? France isn't the only country you would have to convince. And you were talking about air connections, plane connections. But do you really think this is the issue? First of all, in terms of logistics, well, perhaps somebody could explain to us if you feel that Strasbourg is not up to hosting a medicines agency, why would it not be up to scratch? I mean, if it can host the European Parliament, why can't it host the medicine agency? We spent hours of our time travelling here, 7 or 8 hours. I don't think that is a very convincing argument. How are we going to convince the other member states? Well, it's a question of leadership. Europe needs leadership. We need to have heads of state and government who really have the main interests of European citizens in mind, their greater interests. And if we really want to relaunch Europe, and a Europe which is close to the citizens, we have to take bold decisions. And President Macron has shown how he has gained the trust of the French people, that he can indeed be a leader, a pro-European leader, and he can be a counter-figure to the populists. And this is what we believe. And we are working with the Estonian presidency, with many other, with the other states who've also applied to host the agency. Needless to say, we're going to have to come up with compromises.
I mean, I've been following this for quite a while now, and I think, of course, on the merits, I think you have very good points. But on the other hand, I mean, don't you see the irony? I mean, just last Saturday you had Chancellor Kohl lying in state there, and one speaker after the other referred to Strasbourg and l'histoire de Lorraine and the historical importance, and Mr. Macron referred to the Rhine that is flowing a couple of 100 meters from here. So it sounds a bit awkward that you try to make a very cerebral argument here for moving, whereas the leaders, and basically it's not going to be you who decides, it's going to be governments, you know, sort of make a very strong sort of emotional reference to Strasbourg as an important place. And the second question, if we talk about the waste of money and how badly the EU institutions manage themselves, I mean, you could talk about the Committee of the Regions, you could talk about, you know, the Economic and Social Council. I mean, I see that glass palace every day in Brussels from my office, and I don't really know what the added value is they add. So aren't you worried that you sort of use a bit of a dangerous argument there if you say, well, you have to become more efficient and so forth and da.
Well, we are not afraid to stand up for what the citizens want. And we are making practical arguments and based on values. I was here at the ceremony. For me it was an historical, moving day. I didn't sleep all night afterwards. And by the way, I also went to the funeral in Speyer. And for me it's exactly that. That's what we want this European Parliament to be, a place where you can worship one of the biggest and greatest Europeans. And even Simone Veil, and today we are with the people of France paying tribute to Simone Veil, a great woman, great leader, great European, first president of the European Parliament, French. She said, I don't understand how a parliament can work by moving in this way in different facilities. So this is about leadership, and we want to work hand in hand, but nothing is impossible if the citizens ask us. Thank you. I think we have to finish this press conference because others have the time, but I think we are all available if anyone would like to talk to us individually or together. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's the debate this afternoon starting around 4 o'clock in plenary. Thank you.